Hello class. I am happy and honored to have the opportunity to speak to you this year. Let us all thank Ms. Coyle for arranging this. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Eric Valor and I am an ALS patient. My disease is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, but you might know of it as motor neuron disease or Lou Gehrig's disease. I do not know if Ms. Coyle explained it to you, but the disease kills the nerves which carry movement commands from my brain to my muscles. This means I cannot move, talk, or even breathe. I have a small machine that would fit in your backpack which pushes air into my lungs through a tube and a hole in my neck. So I created a cartoon character to make public appearances for me. This cartoon character is quite close to what I look like, and this voice is the same one I use every day for business and telephone calls. So this is just like me being there with you. I make videos like this for my podcast and for speeches I am asked to make. This is how I delivered the keynote or opening speech for the March for Science event in San Francisco, about 150 kilometers north of me. A week later I delivered a speech in Paris, France, without leaving my bed. Now let me answer your questions. Am I more satisfied with my life than I thought I would be? Absolutely yes. I knew that I could be happy with an online life because I already had a substantial part of my life online for many years going back to 1981. My personal doctor suggested that I needed to find a new identity if I wanted to continue living. For years I had been an information technology professional and I was not going to be able to continue that career. Having done this before, I understood how to do it. I followed my natural curiosity and technical ability to learn neurology. And I have been successful so far. Because of this, I have become a resource of information to others both in scientific and policy information. Originally I just told my local support group about new research and what it meant. Then I started a blog which is read worldwide. Now I have turned it into a podcast or blogcast with my cartoon self. I am also the leader of my own research organization and am co-founder and on the boards of several groups promoting awareness and advocacy of rights and benefits of ALS patients. I am more busy now than before I was diagnosed. Was I a positive person before ALS? Yes and no. Or, rather, no and yes. When I was 12 until about age 29, I was living in depression. Nothing in the world was more than very short-term happiness. I was always unhappy and feeling that I was always less important and less successful than everyone else. I made bad decisions that just ruined everything good and made me feel worse. But around age 29 I found the secret to happiness, and I realized that I already had it for all those years but did not recognize it. What inspires my positivity? A little bit of Buddhist philosophy and enough awareness to spot examples of it in my life experience. I am not at all religious. I am actually an atheist. But in Buddhism, specifically a book written by the Dalai Lama, I found philosophy which would completely turn my perspective around. I found that things and status were not important but rather life itself. And because I was surfing in Mexico at the time, I was able to see people living that way. The village I was in was entirely people who had absolutely nothing compared to me. I had computers and televisions and cars and clothes and toys and more food than I could eat. These people had just gotten electricity in the village for the first time in their history. They had just enough food that they had to grow every year or they went hungry. Only 2 people in the village had old cars that barely ran. Every 2 years a cyclone would come through and destroy many houses. They thought I was unimaginably wealthy. But despite their utter poverty, they were happy. They had food, family, friends, and shelter. Everything else was just extra. It was at that moment that my life changed forever. I realized that I had everything important and I had a lot of it. And I had more extra stuff than I could ever need. I realized that I was actually very successful and, in everything that was important, I was ridiculously rich. For the first time since my childhood I was actually present in the moment, and satisfied with myself. That changed my attitude and gave me so much confidence to take risks and know that I will achieve any goal I wanted. At the same time, I made it my goal that, whatever I did in my life, I should use that to help others in some way. I was already doing that in my career, fixing people's computers and networks, so just kept going. I proposed to my girlfriend who shortly after became my wife, and my career suddenly accelerated as I became known for dominating any challenges. Even now, I am still very successful in everything that matters. I have no money anymore, but I am now more important to more people than I could ever imagine. How could I be anything but be happy and positive? How do I feel about how disabled people are shown on TV? I would say it's inaccurate. The disabled are always shown as having lost something and being unhappy or angry. They are shown as simple people with simple reactions, and should be the focus of our pity. But that is just for dramatic effect. In real life, people with disabilities are just living their lives doing the best they can, with what they have. I always tell new patients that we are not our bodies but rather the thoughts in our brains. So do not be sad about losing movement because the most important part of you is still here. Are clinical trials worth our time? Absolutely yes. Often they are the only chance of continuing to live. And I believe that patients have the responsibility to be in them so that research toward a cure can move forward. We are already doomed, but maybe one day a trial some of us are in will prove a drug effective and those patients in the trial will get access earlier than others. I think we have already seen clinical trials of drugs which are very effective against ALS. Too late for me, but excellent for future patients. Thank you all for inviting me into your classroom to share a little bit of myself. I am very happy to be part of your learning the English language, American style. Hopefully my story has been inspirational in your own lives. Goodbye and good luck in your bright futures.
I got the locked in blues. I got the locked in blues. I got the locked in blues. I got the locked